Four Pillars of Self-Development. Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya. Published in Akhand Jyoti, The Light Divine. Translation of a discourse by Pujya Gurudev Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya on Atmonnati ke Char Aadhar, delivered in 1980. Let's begin with the collective chanting of the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Sisters and brothers, our Yug Nirman mission has been organized as a laboratory. In a laboratory of chemistry, new chemicals and compounds are invented and presented to the world with a demonstration of their properties and use. Our mission is experimenting on the formulae, on the workable and viable plans for spiritual ascent and reconstruction of the world. Our Yug Nirman mission is a man-making odyssey. It is developed like a nursery to nurture good qualities, to produce enlightened talents. As you know, saplings of a variety of plants and trees are grown in a nursery and supplied to different gardens where they blossom with beautiful flowers and nutritious fruits. Our laboratory is like an agricultural farm where varieties of crops of better health values are cultivated based on thorough research, and the beneficial knowledge and technology is distributed for wider application. Our Yug Nirman mission is like a school for the training, development and chiseled refinement of personality. It is an academy to produce the future architects of a happier, harmonious and integrated society. After all, what is the society? It is a congregation, an ensemble of people. People make the society, and their collective qualities and conduct shape up the character, reputation of the society. Transformation of individuals leads to transformation of the society. Therefore, illumined ascent of men and women to a higher level of consciousness leads to transmutation of the society, thus altering the trends of time and creating a new, better world. This is what Yug Nirman aims at. The four definite steps to achieve this lofty goals are Vyakti Nirman, Parivar Nirman, Samaj Nirman and Yug Nirman, personal, familial, social and global transformation and evolution. We firmly believe in the pledge, Hum badlenge, Yug badlega, Hum sudherenge, Yug sudhrega. When we transform ourselves, the trends of our times will be transformed. When we reform ourselves, the world will be reformed. It is obvious that we cannot experiment on the entire world. All the people across the globe cannot even be reached in feasible time. As we know, charity begins at home. So we have to begin with a small group, with our own selves, our families and friends. If all of you endeavor sincerely, the Gayatri Parivar of our mission will become a model for others to follow. This way, gradually the ripples of change will encompass the whole ocean. So the first and most important task before us is self-refinement, self-development. For this we will have to first identify and focus our attention on the central root that directly or indirectly governs the course of our lives. Think and ponder over what really makes one, what one is, as a person. It is the force of intrinsic tendencies of the mind. The hidden desires activated by these tendencies drive the mind and generate the corresponding currents of thoughts and trigger the brain for matching actions. Although the conscious mind appears to be our decision maker and manager, with the brain being its counterpart at the level of the physical body, the real ruler is our unconscious mind. The intrinsic impressions on it are so intense that these block even the voice of the soul. So, for self-refinement and self-transformation, it is essential that we first purify our inner self, especially the unconscious mind, rein in its passions and control its wayward tendencies that dominate our desires, thoughts and actions. Transformation of the central root will transform our life in no time. Thousands of complications, adversities and problems in one's life flow from one's nature, outlook and inner personality. Negative attitude, deluded perspectives, one's own vices and infirmities and wrong thinking often invite or add to adversities and problems. It is said that one becomes what one thinks and does. Indeed, most of the present circumstances of life are the results of one's own past actions and aspirations. Well, whatever be the present situation of your life, the best you could do is to face and tackle the hardships with patience, courage and balanced reasoning. If the circumstances are favorable today, make the best use of them for a better future with far-sighted vision and prudence. In any case, the process of your self-purification and improved thinking should not stop. You might wonder what exactly is meant by self-refinement, self-transformation and self-development, and how to go about it. To achieve this, you will have to adopt 4 disciplines: Sanyam, Swadhyay, Sadhana, and Seva. These are like 4 essential steps of the excelsior of human life, 4 foundational pillars of the edifice of accomplished life, 4 resources of divine ascent of human self. All the 4 are interwoven. We cannot expect elevating our life without any one of them. For the growth of a crop, 4 things are crucial: seed, or sapling, soil, water and sunlight, or some source of vital elements. If you want to do a business, again a quadruple is a must, namely, capital, experience, demand and customer. Combination of 4 things, bricks, cement, iron and wood, is essential for building even an ordinary house. Talent, resources, support and appropriate opportunity are required for recognizable success in this world. Paucity or deficiency on any of these 4 fronts hinders the success race. What is most vital for our clinical health? Balanced food includes water, labor, rest and excretion. Disturbance in any of these upsets the body system. So you see, nature has ample examples of 4 interdependent fundamental necessities. We cannot dream of anything worthwhile along the path of soul evolution without accomplishing the fundamental necessities of self-ascent. We shall discuss each of them now. 1. Sanyam. Literal meaning of Sanyam is restraint. It is crucial for us to prevent the drainage or misuse of our powers and potentials. In general, most of us consume our mental and bodily energy in haphazard activities driven by the passions of our ever-turbulent minds and sense organs. Even a so-called ordinary person may accomplish wonderful things if he checks the wastage of his capabilities and makes constructive use of his potentials. We have to be vigilant on 4 fronts and observe abstinence of sense organs, control over the turbulence of mind, and optimal uses of time and worldly resources. For the Sanyam of the sense organs, most difficult and important is the Sanyam of the tongue and the sex organs. These 2 are the greediest organs vulnerable to addiction. As you might have experienced, the greed of the tongue disturbs our digestive system, gulps anything edible or non-edible for taste and spoils our health. The unrestrained indulgence in sex drains out our vital energy and thus weakens our physical and mental strength. Unbridled use of tongue in speech invites animosity and insult. One cannot think of any notable progress or even having a healthy and hearty life for a long time without restraining these sense organs. There is hardly any moment in a day from the time we get up, when our mind is void of any thought. But what kind of thoughts? Most often these are hazy flashes of auto-wandering of our mind in its world of ever-new desires or abrupt imaginations and retrieval of memory as per egotist impulses. Anger, excitation, depression, etc. are all offshoots of an unstable and wayward mind. I don't have to say much on how important it is to have good mental concentration. Be that study, writing, research, focused use of any skill or art, everything requires thorough mental engrossment for success. Even the daily chores can't proceed smoothly unless our mind is calm and stable to some extent. Success in mental control and constructive channelization of thoughts opens up the doors to all-conquering win-win achievements along any chosen walk of life. Time is the most precious resource gifted by nature to us. But we spend most of it in sleeping or in laziness. We shun hard work and don't do things in a planned, systematic manner. When there is some pressure or something of our immediate interest, we get over enthusiastic and spend all the time in one particular task. This is an extreme, which often burns out our energy or puts us under stress. And, the moment the pressure or interest is gone, we just slip back to the other extreme, become dull and aimless, don't even care for how our time is flying in haphazard activities, arbitrary thoughts and daydreaming. Look at the lives of those who have attained success in some field of life. You will find one thing in common: prudent management of time. Equally important is the adept use of available resources. Money happens to be a vital resource on materialistic fronts of life. But unless utilized cautiously, it only encourages addictions, luxury-driven lifestyle leading to a variety of physical and mental health problems, extravagant show-off, which in one form or the other, invites jealousy, anxiety or threats of burglary, etc. Those who are not wealthy need to be more careful, as every penny of their hard-earned money is important. Those who have substantial amounts for fulfilling basic necessities and duties should invest the remainder wisely in projects that help many others in a viable manner and generate more wealth for wider use. Industriousness, planned budgeting, and thoughtful use of money is the secret of prosperity. Assiduity and controlled use of resources also lend essential support in one's efforts of self-restraint of sense organs and are therefore important for self-dependence and self-development. 2. Swadhyay. Swadhyay is a wonderful method of purifying the mind and righteous molding of the thoughts and attitude. Our attitude and thoughts are expressions of what we have accumulated in the mind. The activities around us, the nature and conduct of the near and dear ones, the ambience we are exposed to or what we have been experiencing, learning or grasping, knowingly or unknowingly via the automatic process of nature, continuously creates subtle impressions on our mind. This accumulation, together with the consequences of what we have been desiring, feeling, thinking and doing remain inscribed in the unconscious mind life after life. What we have inherited from the earlier lives and what has been assimilated so far in the present life accounts for our sanskaras, intrinsic impressions and tendencies. Unless we make an extra effort, our outlook and thoughts and hence our persona is shaped up by our sanskaras and our present ambience and training. Swadhyay is an attempt to choose an enlightened order of influence, superior ambience for our mind. How? Swadhyay literally means self-study. It deals with the study of one's own self, one's aspirations, thoughts, attitude and conduct, in the light of elevated thoughts of enlightened personalities. How will you study yourself unless you have a guiding measure for comparison? Why will you study yourself unless there is a motivation and an aim to do that? What is your aim? Self-ascent. What will inspire you for this? The company of those who have achieved it. It is human nature to compete with, to copy, or to follow others, especially the more influential ones around. This is why parents are advised to maintain good conduct in front of the children. This is why you are advised to choose your friends carefully. If you are in the inspiring company of great personalities, you are bound to be motivated to improve and illumine yourself, to rise and experience the fulfilling and glorifying horizons of life. The present times and environment of life are such that more often than not they encourage and aggravate our negative tendencies, sensual passions and vices. Even our relatives and friends often divert us from the path of self-ascent. They do so because of their ignorance. For them, likewise for most people around, following the popular trends, viz., earning money, comforts, higher worldly status and power are the major goals in one way or the other. They would even criticize, hinder and oppose one's efforts for self-restraint, simply because they are not familiar with such things, or, because these do not fit into the common framework of lifestyles they have adopted or desire for, or they don't see any immediate gain in attempts of self-control. Our own tendencies are also not much different from them, so we also get attracted by the suggestions of people around us. Then what do? Should we let ourselves be entangled in the vicious cycle of downward trends? Certainly not. As you all know, it is the nature of water to flow downwards. Water naturally flows, by the law of pressure gradient, from higher to lower level. Additional force, for example, by the motor of the pump, of higher magnitude is required to draw it upwards. Similarly, if you want to see the light of knowledge, if you want to broaden your attitude, if you want to rise beyond the insane or wrong trends of the present time, if you want to cross the barriers of your present circumstances and ambience and want to excel in the righteous sense, you will have to put in extra efforts with unflinching resolution. How will you do that? From where will you get the power to move ahead against the resistance of the popular customs, against the downward pull of surrounding ambience and against your own convictions and habits? Who will give you adept guidance and support for it? One possibility to annul the negative is by assimilating the positive with greater intensity. Satsang, good company, of great personalities, saints and sages is most effective and practical method of doing this. But how often do we get this opportunity to attend their discourses or to meet and discuss them? Even if their discourses and meetings are organized in your neighborhood, sometimes, you may not be free in those particular hours. Then, therefore, Swadhyay is the only means which is feasible in the present circumstances and which can serve the purpose of satsang. As balanced food and regular physical exercise is necessary for bodily health, regular Swadhyay is necessary for mental, emotional and spiritual well-being. It is no less important than any devotional practice. Swadhyay is given utmost importance in the science of spirituality. It is stated in some Vedic scriptures that a person is equivalent to a beastly human on the day when he or she does not do Swadhyay. As washing and scrubbing is necessary for the cleanliness of the clothes, bathing is essential for the hygiene of the body, similarly, Swadhyay is necessary for the purification of the mind. The untoward accumulations in the mental field are cleared out and elevating sanskaras are strengthened by the trenchant thoughts and inspirations induced by Swadhyay. It lays the foundation for realization of inner light. Swadhyay means study of and contemplation over the elevated thoughts of enlightened personalities. You should examine your convictions, your prejudices, blind beliefs and illusions in the light of discerning wisdom and guidance of the thoughts and works of those who have lived glorious and purposeful lives. Many of the great personalities, saints and sages may not be living anymore in the physical bodies, many of them might be living far away. Moreover, even if some sagacious personality is staying near your place, it won't be possible for him or her to give precious time to you, as per your convenience. He or she will have so many things to do, will have so many seekers like you who would be waiting to meet him or her. Thus, having a satsang with the great persons in their physical being is indeed a rare opportunity. But you can always communicate with them, have their guidance and experience the benefits of their company by having proximity with their thoughts through their books, compilations of their speeches, writings on their lives and works, etc. Reading good literature and pondering over it is essential for wholesome nurturing of human intellect. The intellectuals or educated ones among you must be aware of the significance of good books, reading material. Anyone who wants to prevent mental degeneration must read and think. If reading is a problem, one may listen to what is written in a book. But, in either case, our reading should not be confined only to university texts or worldly knowledge. What is underlined in Swadhyay is pondering over good thoughts that link our minds with the radiance of the sagacious wisdom and saintly inspirations and thus illuminating and reorientating our own thinking accordingly. In order to engage the mind in Swadhyay, singing devotional songs, mental engrossment in spiritual music, listening to recordings of enlightening discourses may also be incorporated in it, along with studying the thoughts of elevated souls. However, adoption of the teachings of great souls is not so easy. Swadhyay gives you the direction and inspiration, but it is only you who has to make a resolute attempt towards changing your deep-rooted animal tendencies and your old habits and remold your nature by inculcating the values inspired by Swadhyay. In short, the purpose of Swadhyay is fulfilled only by sadhana. 3. Sadhana. The third important discipline for ascent of human self is sadhana, devout endeavor of self-refinement and improvement. It includes upasana and tapa. Most of us understand upasana as some kind of devotional practice such as worshipping a deity, praying before it, chanting a mantra, meditating on divine attributes, etc. Well, these are certainly the steps or methods to attain the real purpose of upasana. But we should also know its real meaning. Upasana of God means faith in divine values, sitting near divine realms, invocating divinity. If we sit near fire, we feel the heat and our clothing and body parts also get warmer. Sitting near a rock of ice similarly generates a cooling effect around us. The area surrounding a sandalwood tree is also permeated with the fragrance of sandalwood. The soothing fragrance also makes the nearby plants fragrant. So you see the effect of proximity. Upasana is a process of mental and emotional proximity with the Almighty. With enhanced purity of our inner self, our sincerity in the devotional practices, and depth of our faith, Upasana gradually connects our individual self with the Supreme Self. Inculcation of divine virtues. Awakening of our indwelling divinity is a natural consequence of devout upasana. Upasana and sadhana go hand in hand. Either is incomplete without the other. Upasana induces the inspiration and strength required for sadhana, and the latter is vital for the purification and inner engrossment required for thorough upasana. The word sadhana means to perfect. It includes excellence of qualities, deeds and behavior, eminence of personality. Uprooting the vices, evil tendencies, bad habits, etc. and cultivation of virtuous tendencies, good conduct and attitude is sadhana. The wild animals are trained in circus to perform skilled feats, some of which are difficult even for humans. Sadhana is also an arduous training of the mind. It is two-folded: refinement by tapa, that is by ascetic disciplines, penance etc., and improvement by encouraging, inspiring and engaging the mind in illuminating benefits of virtuous qualities and activities. Eminent transmutation of personality by sadhana is like the tedious process of clearing the wild shrubs from a field and making beautiful garden thereon, converting raw metal into shining gold by processing it in fire, or the Herculean task of plowing a barren rocky land and harvesting healthy food grains from it. A little pondering will make you aware that Sayam is necessary for the reforming process of sadhana and swadhyay, plus satsang, for the transmuting phase. It is a time-testing process that requires patience and unflinching faith together with the zeal for enlightened progress. For this, upasana lends the desired support. You also need to be introspective and should analyze yourself every day by a quick but sincere review of what you did wrong and what right and good during the day. Convince your mind, pledge and strive for not repeating the wrong, overcoming the shortcomings and encouraging the good the next day. At least few minutes before sleep should be kept for daily exercise of introspection and self-analysis. A few minutes before getting up every day should be kept for self-planning. Regard every new day as a new birth by which God has given you an opportunity to rectify the past errors and make a new, better and brighter beginning. You are taught here to practice pavitrikarana, pranayama and dhyan, meditation, while doing upasana. During this, you should also attempt to feel that you are surrounded by the radiant aura of divine protection, that you have surrendered yourself to this beatifying protection of the Almighty, which expels all negative effects, guards against their re-entry, and also removes your inner blemishes and weaknesses. But, when you practice self-analysis, you have to be strict and scrupulous like an esteemed judge and find out all your flaws and infirmities. Be firm and fair in scrutinizing your good and bad tendencies, your wrongs and rights. Don't let your mind drive you away with deluding excuses. You are an intelligent being, a devotee of the Omniscient. Let your discerning intellect take charge of your mind. This will not be difficult if you are truly motivated for self-improvement and sincere in meditation and swadhyaya. Infinite force of the Almighty is hidden within each one of you. If you are determined and have faith in your divine origin, you will surely reach great heights on the excelsior of life. Sadhana will illuminate you and bestow great benefits on the worldly as well as spiritual domains of your life. 4. Seva. Man is a social being. He is indebted to the society in several ways. The food he eats, clothes he wears, house he lives in, etc. everything is available to him because several people have contributed to making them usable. Whatever he has achieved in life is because of the direct or indirect cooperation of so many others. God has bestowed human life upon him so that he would offer his services for beautifying the world garden, for making this world a better place to live. You as a human being have this responsibility of offering your altruistic services to the society, to the world. You are supposed to help maintain nature's ecosystem. You are supposed to contribute your level best to the healthy survival and happy growth of all its animate and inanimate components. How else can you thank Mother Nature for the enormous boons she has blessed you with? How would you be the crown prince of God if you do not discharge your duties towards His creation? All of you should remember time and again that you are not born only to live a materialist life. We are humans. Our life should not be confined to earning and enjoying sensual pleasures. We should also be living a noble and altruistic life. Our abilities and potentials should also be used for welfare and upliftment of others. Your tapa sadhana is incomplete without seva. You must offer your seva voluntary altruistic service for the welfare of others. Your wealth, your talents, your intellect, nothing is of any use if even a fraction of it cannot help uplifting someone else. Even in worldly terms, just imagine how happy a self-centered affluent person could be if all others around him are poor, downtrodden and agonized. You cannot enjoy your success and happiness unless you share your joys with others. You cannot expect love, cooperation and respect from anyone unless you learn to care and share. Every religion of the world, every spiritual school enjoins giving in charity for the welfare of the needy. You may not be rich, but just think, there must be someone in the society who is more deprived. Try to do what best you can to alleviate the pain and sufferings of others. More than material help, it is your compassion, your cooperation, your time that counts more in seva. Selfless service is said to be the noblest deed of human life. Seva of the world is said to be the true aradhana, devotional service, of its creator. You may offer your alms and worldly services to the society in several ways depending upon what is needed to allay the sufferings and pains of others to some extent, or to uplift the conditions of the deprived ones around you. But one service, which is universally required and which is regarded as the supreme donation, is the Gyan Yagya, dissemination of knowledge. The best service of human religion, culture, nation and society today is to give righteous direction to people's thoughts. Imparting positive thoughts and encouraging guidance to a depressed or depraved person is the biggest and most useful help one could offer, as it would not only save his life but would also mold him into a progressive and happier person. Jnana, pure knowledge, is a source of power. It enlightens one's thoughts and emotions with the pristine radiance of spirituality. That is why donation, dana, of jnana is revered in the scriptures as Brahmdana, most precious religious duty. If you could distribute it among the masses today, humanity will be grateful to you, because it will be the best means of their welfare. Jnana pulls one out of the dark den of ignorance, lifts one from slippery lane of decline, gives one the direction and courage for removing the evils, blemishes and follies, and for adopting the values and directions that would make one a human being in the true sense. Saints and sages of all ages are revered because their lives were dedicated to attainment and dissemination of jnana. While accelerating your endeavors of attaining jnana by Siyam, Swadhyay and Sadhana, you should also donate some fraction of your time, Samaydana, and resources, Anshdana, for Gyan Yagya. Easiest way to do this is to purchase some Vichar Kranti, Thought Revolution, books of our mission and read them. This way you yourself will be doing Anshdana as well as Swadhyay. Devote your time to circulate the Vichar Kranti literature to as many persons as you can and motivate them to read and then continue the cycle. This will be your ideal Samayadana and Seva. Try to donate your 1 hour of time and 50 paise of money per day on an average towards this noble cause of Gyan Yagya. Thus, by adopting 4 foundational principles of self-transformation, you can elevate your lives to glorious heights and also help the well-being and upliftment of the society as a whole. If we reform and refine ourselves, transformation of the people worldwide will proceed gradually, like the harmonious progression of currents in a sea. Yug Nirman, creation of an evolved era, will emerge from evolution of the individuals, families and the entire human society. I have initiated this epochal experiment in the tiny laboratory of our mission, and I request all those who visit here and all those who are associated with our Gayatri Parivar to help expand it. So if you want to be a part of Yug Nirman project, start the experiment of self-transmutation on yourself by adopting Siyam, Swadhyay, Sadhana and Seva from today itself. Maybe at a minuscule level in the beginning, these should certainly be integral parts of your life from now on. Wish you all the best for eminent success. Om Shanti, Yug Nirman Yojana Press, Mathura.